Today on Jurassic Architect, let's tackle constructing bridges and gardens. Welcome back to the Jurassic Architect Park, and today we're going to get on with a couple of things. We're going to build a bridge over this river here, and hopefully we're also going to finish up this amenities area here. Last time we were constructing this initial enclosure in which we've got some Gallimimus, so Struthiomimus and Nodosaurus, and I was going over some tips on how to improve your enclosure designs. As you can see off screen, I've also put in an amenity block here and surrounded it with nice hedgerow, and this will be an area we're going to finish off after we do the bridge. So constructing a bridge, it really depends what sort of style and whether you're using mods or not, but I'm going to do sort of the most simple style of bridge. Now, you want to make sure that you've got as much water in this area as possible, because the minute you start building the bridge, it will remove a lot of the water. So make sure you've got plenty of water around either side. Now, what we then want to do is to put in the actual bridge route. Now, I like to change the color of the path I use for the bridge. And since we're going for the terracotta path for the plazas and we're using the stone path elsewhere, I'm going to use the brown path here. Now I'm going to make it a medium size path, and but actually no, let's make it a large path. I'm going to make it large, and we're just going to go straight over. There we go. So once you put the main path in, there are a few different steps you can go from here. This is just going to be quite a simple bridge. Usually I would raise the terrain in the middle and create a more distinct hump, but I think for this I don't want to spoil too much of that view, so we're just going to keep it flat. Now obviously there are a few different elements to the bridge. A wall is sort of one distinct element, but also in the spars. Now for a bridge this size, the monorail pieces are a bit large for spars, so we're going to use the pylons. And for the perimeter walls, I think we'll probably make use of the decorative planters. So for the wall pieces, we're going to use these concrete planters, and I'm going to place them down without overlapping so you can see what it would look like for the average player. Now if you're wanting to wall a piece like this and you're not sure if your pieces are going to sort of fill the whole bit, just start building at either end so you can use that as a guide. Now we can do something with this. We'll leave a gap there in the middle. I suppose you could also use the multi-wall sections here as well, or you can use any other particular type of planter box you might have. In these gaps, I'm actually going to put a couple of trees. Now, I am going to have to overlap these, but obviously if you were playing without mods, you could fill the gap in with anything fitted. There you go. I think that looks quite nice. Now, like I say, you want to try to establish a sort of bridge feel, and I tend to like using pylons as they can help with that. So we are just going to put... I tend not to join them up at the ends, we're just going to leave them like that. Already kind of bridge-like. Next up is that we need to create the sort of artificial depth and make it look a bit more bridge. So first thing we're going to do is put in the river sand, and then just to give that appearance of more depth, we're going to just gently paint in some of the darker color in the middle underneath. Now obviously thanks to mods I do have the intensity slider, but if you don't use mods or you don't have the intensity mod, what you can do is just gently tap the mouse as you go along and it will just create a light effect. Now we need to put in plenty of rocks. Plenty of rocks is going to be really important here. And we're going to use this color rock. And we're going to basically create a nice rockery. At either end, as well as in the middle. We're going to vary the size of the rocks we use to try to mix and match and fit them together. Go. So once you have built your rock sides up, and I would always suggest also kind of adding some bigger rocks on the banks at either end. Which helps just to denote the bridge position. Once you've done that, you want to then put in vegetation around the bridge to sort of make it feel that it's been there for a while. Now, the exact vegetation types you use it's really up to you. Low bushes work quite well. Put the occasional one or two in. Again, I'm trying to avoid obvious overlaps. I'd also suggest the small trees 1 and 2 from, I believe this is the desert pile. The small trees, the spiky little plants, just fitting quite nicely, I think, as water plants. I would also suggest you consider things like the short olive trees or the palms. But since this is quite a European park, we want to try and keep them a little bit more realistic for Europe. The little bushes, bushy tree 1 and 2 from the tropical set, also work really well as small plants. Obviously, I'm just doing this quickly, but if you are struggling to avoid sort of the problem of terrain constraints, now just go through and see what plants you can actually fit in the gap. You might be surprised to find, you might have a couple of other plants that might fit in gaps which you're struggling. And there you go. That's a pretty simple bridge, really. And it's not taken me very long to make at all. Obviously, then you could do extra design work at either end. You can put in flaming pillars, which is something I quite like doing. Where are they? There they are. You put in flaming pillars at the ends. Just gives you a bit more style. You could also put lights down here, the lampposts. You could put the Jurassic World banners down here. You can put flags down here. There's really no end of different bridge design styles you can use. Another thing that I do like to do that works quite well with mods is to make use of the lagoon pieces. And what I'll do is I'll actually load into a different map quickly just to show you the sorts of bridge designs I like to build when using mods. So here we are on a map, on a maze map I've been making slowly but surely. And on this particular map I do have a couple of different bridges that I've built with thanks to mods. So this is something I quite enjoy doing with my bridge areas, making use of the lagoon fountains to create sort of runways for the water. And the fencing there helps to disguise the back of the fountains, which is... So the fountains don't have like back pieces. So the tall concrete bar on the fence helps to disguise that. So that's one particular design. I also like to sometimes go a little bit more impressive and use the other lagoon features. I'm sure there's a few other bridge designs around here. Here's another one where I've used the sort of the sails to just create a little covered bridge span. And there's another one with the teeth sails, the tool sails. Again, just another little different design. If you're using mods, there's lots of little tricks you can do to create very interesting looking bridges, that's certainly for sure. But let's pop back to the standard map and we'll return to the bridge we're already building. So with our bridge put in place, what we're now going to look at is looking at this seating area here for these amenities. Now you can see what I've already done. I've put the amenities in place already, and I've put hedgerow around the side. These amenities haven't been modified though, and I do just want to spend some time modifying these, because the fact is, I don't think people do spend enough time looking at the design of the amenities. And it is part of building a nice park, is to make sure the amenities also fit in there. So I want to try to spend a little bit of time just to create something that's going to work nicely. I think we are gonna change the color. Since we're in the Great Britain, we're gonna go with white and red, colors of St. George. I make all my roofs lime green because I like the idea that they're like moss covered roofs, like they're living roofs. We're gonna keep an orange for the actually we're going to use white for the decorative umbrellas, and the lighting is going to be a deep orange. No, we're going to go with blue lighting, and we're going to save as default. Now we've got the upstairs seating here, that's fine. These small amenities, you want to use the large entrances because then they have doors on the back, so it actually makes sense for people to get up here. If you go with like a small door, it makes absolutely no sense that people can get up here because there's no stairs or anything. And it just, I know it might be picky, but you know, I like to design parks with an air of realism, so that this is just one of my ways of doing so. I do like the seating with that, so we'll go with that. And then for down here, I don't want the trees because I think they're a bit much. I want them to be able to see around themselves over these hedgerows. So I also think we're going to put in maybe the small... I quite like the small planters. We're going to put the small planters in here, and we will keep it with smoothies. And then again over here, the authentic sushi. So again, we're going to set the colors correct, and again we're going to change this up a bit. So we're not going to have any seating on the roof for this one. This is going to be a solely internal restaurant. We're going to have... quite like the idea of having like the old style Jurassic Park door for this one. And we're going to have the entrance on this corner. You can see this corner is a bit wider than this one over here. So the entrance is going to be over here. The upstairs we're going to obviously have something different. I'm going to use thatch number 1. We'll keep the sushi. I think this is a very Japanese sort of inspired thatch, so I think the sushi works well. But since we've got no upstairs seating here, we are going to go with downstairs seating for here. And then for this particular amenity, this is the gift shop amenity. It's another gift shop amenity. So we're going to stick to the Jurassic World panels. Personally, I think the panels are the nicest looking main building type. I don't think any of the others look as good. We're going to have a small panel entrance. We're going to put it here so that it's technically on the main thoroughfare, because it makes sense that you want people to come and have a look around. And we're going to go for something a little groovy. We'll go for like the bars, the columns. Actually, we'll go for the vertical triangles. And we will put a couple of trees here for this one, just so that there's some vegetation around. So there's our 3 amenities put in place. And now for the rest of this area, I want to sort of design a couple of different sort of small zones. So we're going to have these circle pieces here. I'm going to use in 2 different ways. So this one here is just going to be for a tree. We're just going to put a really tall tree here. And since we're in the UK, we're going to put an oak tree in here, because that's a pretty common, distinct type of tree. Maybe not, though. Actually, we'll put this one in, which I believe is a sycamore. And we're only going to put 1 in. We want it to be distinct. In fact, since we want it to be distinct, we're going to put an orange one in. And then around the base of this tree, we want to decorate it to make it look bedded in. We're going to use plenty of rocks to do so. I'm using the smaller black rocks because I think these remind me of sort of Zen gardens. We don't want to put too many rocks in though, because we will also want to put in a few smaller plants around the base of the tree. Again, spiky plants work well, or small little shrubs. And then around the back edge here, I want there to be places for people to sit. Now we're going to make sure we use the right sort of seating here. Benches, we could use benches, but I want this seating to be a little bit more substantial. So we're going to make use of the umbrella seating, and we're going to have it go all the way around. Now, one thing I do think people do is they tend to overpopulate the seating area, and they also don't mix and match. I would always suggest mixing and matching the umbrellaed seating and the non-umbrellaed seating to make it just look a little different and not just a huge mass of this. And in this area, I mean, I think that looks uncrowded and just a nice little seating area. Over here, we're going to do something different. So for this one, we're going to put in fountain in instead. Now, I think I'm going to go with this one. Yep, I'm happy with that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put benches in here instead. Around this back part. No, around this front part we'll put benches. And I'm just going to line them up with where the lights are on the fountain. That's a very good way of, if you're struggling to space things out, find something on an object and then use that to do your spacing. So here we've been able to perfectly space out the benches. And then I think this looks a little empty, so maybe we could have something between each of them. Maybe we could go for a wooden pillar, or a... I would like a flower. I don't want a tree. I would like a slightly, maybe flower pots of some description. That's simple. It looks nice, elegant. I mean, I suppose we could have also put these in. All these. Actually, I quite like that. Let's let's delete those flower pots. Again, something else I don't think people do enough is delete areas they don't like. I think if you don't like a place, just delete it and start again. Again, thanks to sticking to snap angles, it makes this bit much easier. Oh, that's much nicer. I like that. I think that's really nice. I think it works. And that's really all you then have to do. You can then do other touches like putting in the light posts here and there. And the rest of this back area will then be decorated similar to this river bit here, where we've got all the trees, the bigger, taller trees and such. We'll then decorate the rest of this area behind with that in that sort of style, so it'll all sort of fit together. We also want to cut this off from the main thoroughfare, and we're going to just use the mortar pieces for that. There we go. And that gives, an in and an out. And then here we can then do something more with this. We could place some more planters, or we could place some seating. I actually think this is a good place for some picnic benches. So we're going to put in a few here, just along. And between each picnic bench, we're going to put a tree. Nice. And then obviously this centerpiece as well, we'll also be putting in trees and such. I'm going to put in a few rocks in preparation for that. But we'll be putting in bigger trees and things, again, just to create that separation through there. And to match it to the river. So this is something I definitely think people don't do, is they don't look at their parks in the darkness. And I think it can really help with your design if you have a look at how it looks like in the dark. Because you can see here, there's actually some places where I think we need light. We need more lights around this area. It's a bit dark. Definitely need more lighting along the front where the picnic benches are. I really like the blue, but this is too bright of a blue. So I'm going to change this to a darker blue. Gives it a quite cool look in the dark. Also, I just think it's a cool little sort of theme park feature is to have those black lights around, so when people are wandering about, their stuff glows. And if you've got like merchandise that glows, just all adds to that. Now I'm sure some of these also have light, that we can alter? Yes, they do. So, we're going to go with a similar sort of blue light around this whole area. Maybe not that dark. Or do we go with... Actually, we're going to go with orange for the main lights. I think that looks nice. So. And then these fountains, I always tend to do fountains in green or blue because it makes them stand out really well. Want a really light blue, there we go. And I definitely think we're going to need some more lighting down here because it's very, very dark. Let's go and have just a look at the other lights that are around here. Yeah, we'll make this this fountain here blue. Do we have any other lighting positions anywhere else? No, we don't. There we go. So that's how it looks in the dark. We need to put some more lights in around this this tree here. I think the simplest way would be perhaps to have floodlights, maybe. Or let's actually have a look. What sort of can we do lighting? Yeah, maybe have lights around this little bit. I actually like the difference in color there with having those in that blue and then the main like thoroughfare lights in orange. I think that has a really nice effect. Yeah, I really like that actually. I think that looks great. Yeah, so yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that. So there's our amenity area, a bit more complete and looking nice, and there is our bridge looking pretty nice as well. I think there's one more thing that we can perhaps tackle before the end of this episode, and that is just looking at the arrival point again. I haven't had a chance to put in these zones, but I quite like to just design a few little areas here and here just to fill up some of this space. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to put in a garden, and we're going to make use of the black rocks again, and then we're going to put in some foliage. Now this particular one, I'm going to make full use of the mods. So I'm going to show you the sorts of things that if you're using mods, you can do. So we're going to be using a lot of overlapping in order to get the vegetation quite close together. But we're also going to use a range of vegetation. So a really important thing to do when you're building your gardens is to use different levels of vegetation. And that is, you want your tall ones, you want your slightly shorter ones, and you want your bushy, low to the ground parts too. It helps to create a layered effect. We're also going to make use of the orange trees there, just to break up all that horrible green. These tropical small tree 2s, I love these, as I can sink them into the ground and turn them into really nice bushes. And this is something that if you are using mods or new to mods, it's something that really improves the look of your vegetation, is to sink some of these trees into the ground and turn them into bushes. Really helps create a nice effect there. We're just going to put in a few more plants, these tropical small bushes, just to help bed stuff in. And some of these plants, flowers as well. I wish that as part of the vegetation we had more like actual flowers. I would like some of these flowering bushes. Let's hope for the next game. So there we go. There's one simple example of a garden area that you can create, making full use of mods in its creation there. It's not overloaded with stuff, it's just a nice, simple, small garden. What if you're not using mods? Well, let's do something similar for this zone here, but we're not going to use any mods at all. So, not overlapping anything. We're going to start by putting in our big trees. And again, we're going to want to break up colors. Then I'm going to put the hardscape in. Now, hardscape is the rocks. But I wanted to put the trees in first because without using mods, you want to make sure you've got plenty of space to actually put them in. Like so. And then again, it's exactly the same. Layer the vegetation, so that's not overlapping. There we go. That works there. That works there. Maybe... Actually, we're going to switch then from that bush to the spiky bushes. There we go. And basically, as you go through the layers of vegetation from your biggest to your smallest, you should use more and more of the smaller varieties with sparse big varieties. Don't put too many trees in, because it'll look overly crowded. That one overlapped slightly, but you get the idea. Sometimes you do have to be pixel perfect, which is where building on a computer with a mouse really comes in handy. See, even without overlapping and shrinking stuff down, we've still got a reasonably nice garden area there. Obviously, this one will always look better, but this still looks perfectly acceptable. For this bit here, I want there to be a bit of a more impressive structure. So I am going to make use of a mod yet again to put in a statue. And then once we put the rocks in, we're then going to make use of plenty of plants to bed this in. And we're going to put in some nice orange trees just to change up the colour a bit. Yeah, that works really nicely. I quite like that. So there we go. 3 examples of little garden areas that you can create if you're using mods, or if you're not using mods, or, you know, bedding in statues, that sort of thing. This will then have plenty of other trees, seating and stuff around it, but these just help to break up massive plaza areas. So yeah, I think they suit the park, and I think so far this is coming along very nicely. Now next time, I'll be tackling the tour. I've decided that the next part will tackle the tour. We're going to move away from this, and we're going to tackle creating a nice tour area, putting in some more species here, decorating the terrain of this particular area, building the tour station, and everything else. So that's going to be the next part of the Jurassic Architect video. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything specific you'd like to see me tackle in these Jurassic Architect videos as we build through this particular park. And let me know also down in the comments if you have any ideas of things we can add to this park. I'm open to people's suggestions. If you have some ideas for things I can add to this particular park or species you'd like to see, let me know down in the comments. But until next time, stay safe and goodbye.